You're listening to the Awks Talk
Awks Talk.
Awks Talk.
podcast. Welcome to the Awks Talk. I'm your host, Shohanul. We're doing things a little bit different today, I guess. I am just by myself. We tried to record and, obviously stuff happens and failing happens and mistakes happen. So that's kind of the topic of what we're going to be talking about today is starting new things, but more so fear of failure and how to get over that. How to start something new and take new steps in life and not be scared to do it. This includes everything to like starting a business, being an entrepreneur, a lot of things, even hobbies and all that kind of stuff. So let's get into it. I think the first step to anything is understanding your fears, because I think the biggest hurdle that we go through when it comes to trying something new are our fears, and again, it's the fear of failing, the fear of judgment, and the fear of shame. And I was kind of trying to process all this and gauge where I should put each one, but they're all kind of like intertwined, and all that kind of stuff. And it's hard to kind of hit which one's more important because everyone's different, right? So each one will hit someone differently, right? But the biggest one for me personally is definitely the fear of failing, right? Because I think from that fear comes all my other fears of, being judged because I failed, or the shame and all that kind of stuff, and yeah, so, went on a little bit of a journey this week to figure out, and my shames and judgments and all that kind of stuff. And I think the biggest hurdle that we have to overcome is obviously where our fear comes from mainly is we fear what we don't know, so say you're starting a new job, or you're going to school for the first time, or, you're starting a new class, or you're thinking about it, right? The biggest hurdle to overcome any fear is knowledge, I think a great example when it comes to scuba diving instructors is they teach you so much before you obviously you got to take a bunch of classes before you can actually scuba dive, but the number one thing that gets people injured or actually kills people isn't actually the fish or the sharks or the jellyfish or any of that stuff. It's actually panic, right? And the way to overcome panic is knowledge. It's knowing to stay calm in certain situations, or knowing to just, get your head together when you're kind of in panic, right? Say you're running low on oxygen. Instead of panicking and rushing back up, you take your time and you just calm down and you just breathe slower, because the more you panic, the faster you breathe, the faster your oxygen runs out, and whatever happens next, But I think that's a great way to kind of look at it when you're trying to overcome your fears or just start new things and all that kind of stuff. And it was a little bit of a journey for me too to start the podcast as well. That was kind of a big one too. Is I did a lot of research when it came to doing the podcast, and I always thought to myself, I gotta buy this, I gotta buy that. Okay, it has to be perfect. I have to have all this stuff before I can start. And it actually wasn't until I kind of rekindled my relationship with Melissa, or like our friendship and stuff, before I actually just said, screw it, let's just do it, right? Because she joined me, and she was a big reason why we even started the podcast, because she helped me get over that fear, because I had a kind of a partner in crime to do it with, right? And for me, that was a big thing, having someone along the journey. And yeah, I mean, even like right now, I've been dreading to do an episode by myself, because I know a lot of times it's really hard to meet up, especially now that it's summer. We're all busy, and it's not just us being busy. We have to find a babysitter for our kids too when we record. So, it's been tough to even get recording, but I've had a big fear of doing an episode by myself, right? I mean, I've been prolonging it as much as I can, because I'm like, oh man, what if people don't like me? What if people don't listen to me? But, you kind of just have to do it and move forward with it, But I think the biggest boon for me is just little steps. Like I've always really been good at starting new things. I think that's probably the reason why I have like 100 hobbies. I'm like so knowledgeable about different different jobs and just things in general, like random things. Like, I've done carpentry, I've done mechanics, I can fix cars, I grow plants. I love, my biggest hobby is bonsais right now, and I grow a lot of bonsai trees. So it's like the most random things, but I've had an interest in it, and I do it, So, that's why I think I really want to kind of help people into getting over their fears and just taking the steps. And for me personally, what always works is knowledge, is getting your, like, just your mind ready. I think that's the biggest thing. And, the rule I like to have is like a 5% rule, or another way you can kind of look at it is a staircase. Each staircase is like 5% of the journey, right? So you take a step, and every step you add 5% more, and eventually when you get to the top of the staircase, you're kind of ideally where you want to be. Now it doesn't have to be 5%. Obviously, you can take as long as you need and as many steps as you need, but the idea is you start small, right? And then you work your way up, right? And that really, really helps me. I think the number one thing is for me when I was starting the podcast, because I think this is the biggest thing I can kind of give advice on, is learning about podcasting. What is podcasting? How do I get started? What do I do? What kind of equipment do I need? And all this kind of stuff. So just learning all that and knowing all that kind of really helped me establish and kind of become a podcaster. It's still kind of weird to think or even say that I'm a podcaster, because I feel like we haven't been really doing it for that long. But yeah, I mean, like, it's just like that. Like, I mean, let's give an example of, like, if you were like starting the piano or something, right? And like, you wouldn't start by playing in front of thousands of people in a concert hall, right? You would start by learning what a piano is and learning some music, and you take one note and you learn one note at a time, right? I think a lot of times we're very impatient, and we want to be at the end result as quickly as possible, and we're not kind of willing to take the journey. But I think that kind of multiplies our fear. If we think that our output has to be perfect, our output has to be 100% great, and before we can put it out there in the world, you kind of get stuck in this limbo of, shit, my my work's never good enough, and the way you kind of just get out of the limbo is you just post, or you just kind of take one step, and you don't want to just take one step and it be a negative step. You want to fill your step with positive experiences and little successes, right? Like playing the piano, you want to make sure, you learn one note and maybe you press it a couple times and, you know it. You take the next step, you learn another note, but filling your each step of the way with a positive experience and like little successes, and then just building upon that and continue growing, like I think even like stand-up comedians, right? Like instead of being funny in front of hundreds of people, go to your mom, tell the joke to your mom. She's probably hella biased and will probably laugh even if it's not funny, but that's a positive experience, and it's a little success because you made someone laugh, and a lot of the times I feel like discouragement or actual criticism really kills a lot of us from pursuing things, and that's always gonna hurt, but sometimes they're good for you, but yeah, I mean, if you're really, really scared of judgment and you're really, really scared of failure and being shamed, take it small. Little successes will go a long way. You gain enough little successes and they become a big success. I think the second thing is accepting that it's okay to fail, and I think this is something that I've really had to kind of overcome. And I don't know when it was I overcame this, because I think I got to a point where I just didn't care what other people kind of thought of me. And, I blame a lot of that on my parents. That, it's a good thing, right? That I don't care about what other people think. But I think it's because I saw how much what other people's opinions affected them, that I never wanted to live like that. I never wanted to live like being judged and somebody else's judgment affect me or shame me. I think judgment is like other people's impression of you, and shame is something that's internalized. So if you feel shameful about something, it means you think that, not other people think that. Judgment is what other people might think, but you don't believe it, right? You kind of get what I'm saying? So, like, of course, being judged is never nice, but sometimes, like, honest judgment is good. But yeah, I mean, like, even when we did the podcast, I got a comment once when we had one of our earlier episodes. They're like, hey, I think you guys are great, but your audio is really crappy. And in our earlier episodes, our audio was crappy, and we've grown from that. Like, we have better equipment now, and I think our production's a little bit better, even though we're just starting video and all that kind of stuff. But I'm trying not to kind of do the video thing. I'm trying to still be in a podcast mindset and listen, ears first and eyes second. I watched something the other day that accepting that it's okay to fail is a big part of trying, right? You're not trying if you're not willing to fail, right? I think what's his name? I forget, but yeah, so learning how to fail, it's like, something I obviously still need to work on a lot, but accepting that it's okay to fail is a big part of starting something new. I think is probably the biggest factor that we have as humans to kind of overcome. Failure is like something none of us want to experience, right? But failure is a big part of trying. You're not trying if you're not willing to fail. If you're not willing to fail, you're probably not trying, right? Say, like for example, like working out or going to the gym, right? If you're not willing to maybe not lose weight after going to the gym, I don't know if that's a great example or not, but then you're probably not trying at the gym. For me, it's like I accept that I'm scared, that I'm gonna probably fail or I might fail, but I'll never know, and I might as well do it, because I think for me personally, what's more scary than failing is regret. There are only a handful of things I think I regret in my life, and those few things that I regret like haunt me, so it's like, and I've come to terms with a lot of things that I regret, but it's like, I think regret is so much more, for me personally anyway, I think regret is so much more powerful than my fear. If I never started the podcast or whatever, I'd be maybe 30 years down the line, be like, oh man, what if I started that podcast? What if I blew up? What if, blah, 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 and all this kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden, my fear that I had it turns into regret, and regret turns into, anxiety, or, it turns into, what's the other word? Regret turns into, I just said it the other, like, I'm really tired, sorry, I just put my daughter to sleep, and it's like 4 a.m. Like, she was sleeping, it's just she woke up, and yeah, anyways, moving on. Yeah, so I would rather fail than regret, but something that I preach all the time is control too, and control, and I like to have a lot of control in my life. I don't like when things are out of control. I don't think I'm a controlling person. I don't try and control other people. I just like to have my life in control. I like to be in control of my emotions and all that kind of stuff. So same thing with thoughts, because I tend to be a little bit of an overthinker. So I really have to stop myself sometimes from overthinking. And a big part of it is thinking about things that I can't control, and things that I can't control are things that multiply my fears, right? Like, let's go back to the example of going to the gym, right? If I went to the gym and I thought about, man, I wonder how many people are going to be at the gym. I wonder if people are going to, like, what they're going to say about me, like, people are going to call me this, people are going to call me that, are any of the machines even working? It's COVID now, like, blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. And those are all things that I can't control. I can't control how many people are going to be at the gym. I can't control if any of the machines are going to work. I can't control what people are going to think about me. I can't control how many people are going to be in the shower. I can't control how many people are going to be in the locker room. And, how many people are going to change. Like, all those kind of things, I can't control any of that. And it's pointless to think of it, because those kind of thoughts are just going to multiply your fears and probably prevent you even more from going to the gym, because each of those things are just an excuse not to go, kind of thing. It might be minor, but it's still, there, and so, you got to try and focus on things you can control, like, I can bring a friend to the gym. I can control that. because I know my friend will be there and I'll at least be comfortable. I can learn etiquette, gym etiquette, whatever that is, I've personally never been to the gym, so I don't even know why I'm using this example, but, like learning how to use the machines and learning what body part I want to actually work on. Those are all things I can control. And if I focus on things I can control, it's less scary, because I know what I'm doing and I know what I'm getting into. And for me, that's really important. And that's a big part of why I think I'm able to really start a lot of things. So, based off of that, also another thing is you got to manage your expectations, right? Expectations are a big thing that kill a lot of us, because a lot of times we expect to be perfect. We're expected to do everything right. We're expected to, be perfect. I don't know what more I can say about that, but, managing your expectations is a big thing, because, we as human beings are very impatient. We want to be perfect as soon as possible, and we want to jump to the finish line right away, right? But there's a journey, and we need to remember that learning anything new, starting something new will take time. You might not be good at it right away. It might not be something that you even like, and it might even be something you got to get comfortable with, right? Like, for this example, I don't like recording by myself. It's not that it's embarrassing or anything. It's just I feel more comfortable with someone here talking to. I'm not used to this, so it's a little bit awkward. I.e. the Awks talk. But I mean, like, obviously this is something I got to get used to. Even, in times like this when we failed last week. Anyways, let's talk about that failure. Then since we're kind of on it, and managing expectations and stuff. So last week we recorded. It was supposed to be next week's episode, basically. And we were talking about periods and all that kind of stuff, and it was great. We had a great conversation, but I messed up with the audio. I didn't know how to set up the camera. I was doing a little bit of a new setup where I was connecting my mixer. So my mic goes into my mixer, and then my mixer usually goes into my computer. But this time I put it into my camera because I looked online and it said, hey, put it into your camera so it's connecting right away and you can just do it that way. So I was like, oh, great. I'll just connect it right to my camera. And I tried doing that, and I didn't know that I had to actually set settings on my camera, and the audio was completely blown out. So it was an entire 40-minute episode that we recorded. We didn't even finish the episode because it was all blown out of just waste. It was an entire day wasted, and I learned from that. That's something I learned. I learned about this camera, this Nikon D5500, and I learned it had different settings, and I learned you can set up the mic, and so failing helped me improve. I learned from that. I learned from that failed episode, and I'm not going to let it happen again. I'm not going to blow out the audio and all that kind of stuff again, right? So yeah, it was a big lesson for me, and now hopefully this audio is a lot better, and the video is better too, because I'm not connected directly to. I'm not recording from OBS. I'm recording from within the camera instead. So everything should be a lot nicer and better, I hope. Anyway. Yeah, but if I fail again, I'll just learn again and adjust and continue. And it's all a part of the journey, right? But yeah, my expectations of that was not to fail. I thought it was going to be perfect and all that kind of stuff. And I was so upset when I did fail. But, what am I going to do? Gotta just keep going, keep trucking, and work on the next episode, right? It was a really good episode, though. Like, we talked about a lot of things, period related, feminine hygiene, and all that kind of stuff. So instead of throwing in the towel and just giving up and expecting yourself to be perfect, you gotta learn that you might not be good at it. You gotta learn that sometimes it takes time to adapt, and sometimes it's not love at first sight. It's sometimes you just need a little bit more time to adapt, and that's okay. You just gotta, like expecting quick results and expecting to do well right off the bat is probably a big contributor to a lot of fear and anxiety, so, just manage your expectations and your mindset, and you should be good. Something that I've definitely had to learn throughout my life is learning to kind of step out of your comfort zone. We all, build walls. We all have a comfort zone, everyone has one and will happily sit in it, but you really only grow when you step outside of it. This is kind of going on to a different topic, but I feel like all of us kind of build walls. We're all kind of building walls when it comes to anything we fail at, because we don't want to get hurt and all that kind of stuff. So what have we been talking about, right? Well, trying new stuff and getting outside your comfort zone is, I would say, probably one of the biggest factors to your growth. If you want to grow as a person, kind of trials and tribulations are what make you who you are, right? You learn from your failures. Your failures are what shape you as a person, not your successes. Your successes are things you're proud of, but the lessons you learn are from your failures, right? And when I look at it that way, failing doesn't seem as scary to me. Failing is just another opportunity. Failing is just me learning, So I think that's kind of how I overcome that fear of failing, because that's the only way I know how to grow, is to fail, and like last week when I failed, that was a really hard fail. And that was something that was really hard for me to cope with, because I wasn't expecting to fail that hard. But again, like I said before, something to definitely learn from, right? I don't really have any facts. I think these are all just kind of, this is how I feel and all that kind of stuff. Usually Jessica is the fact person and all that kind of stuff, and I'm more of the advice person. And but stepping outside your comfort zone is tough, right? It's like, we all build walls and we all build a room, right? To keep the bad stuff out, to keep us from getting hurt and all that kind of stuff. But the problem is, when you create these walls, you're not just protecting yourself. You're not just protecting yourself from things getting in. You're actually trapping yourself from getting out. And that's what your comfort zone is. It's almost like your own cage in a sense, and it prevents you from growing and kind of learning and becoming a better person, you know. Being in this day and age with everything that's going on in the world, like racism and all that kind of stuff, we always kind of think of this whole, older people, they'll never learn because they're just set in their ways. But I feel like even if you're young, you can still be kind of set in your ways. And, we're starting to say now, it doesn't matter if you're set in your ways, you still have to learn to change because society is changing, right? But it's the same thing with stepping out. It's the same thing with your comfort zone too. You're in this comfort zone that you're really happy in, and you're oblivious to everything else because you're comfortable, but you're not growing as a person. You're right. Something that I personally believe in, a personal philosophy, is if you're not changing, you're choosing. So it goes with growing too, right? If you stay inside your comfort zones because you choose to stay inside your comfort zone, whatever is inside your comfort zone is of your own making, right? Because you're choosing to stay in your comfort zone, or to stay where you are, to stay how you are. I'll go back to the gym example. Say you want to lose weight. If you're complaining about losing weight all the time, but you're doing nothing to change it, you're choosing to be that weight, right? But if you step outside your comfort zone and just try something, just try it, who cares if you fail? Just get out, giving it a shot, and maybe failing, you'll learn something. It's like, hey, maybe I can't do a push-up or 2 push-ups. Maybe I can only do half a push-up. Maybe I can only walk to the fridge. Just getting up and walking to the fridge is exercise. So, trying takes no effort, even though it seems like there's so many hurdles you have to go through to try, right? But it's because we're stuck in our ways, or we're stuck in this comfort zone that we trap ourselves in, that we think is a safe area, but it's really a trap, and trying to get out of that, I think, is a big factor into kind of also trying new things and just getting out there and doing stuff, right? I don't mean, and I keep saying doing stuff and stuff, but I mean, like, this applies to jobs too, like starting a new job is scary, even looking for a job is scary. Sometimes we're just comfortable where we are, or we're comfortable at the job we are. Maybe we're worth a lot more. Maybe our experience allows us to, go somewhere else, to a different company, and become a manager or whatever it is, right? But we don't want to because we're comfortable where we are. And that's okay. But as long as you accept that you're okay with that. See, the problem lies is when you have a conflict of interest, right? When you're conflicting with your comfort. When your comfort zone and your cage or your room is, you're conflicting with it. Because you're thinking, oh, I should be getting paid more, I should be in this kind of position, or I should be here or there, or whatever. You're now fighting with this room that you built. You built this room, and you're fighting with it. And, that's where a lot of depression, anxiety, unhappiness come from. And sometimes just stepping outside your comfort zone, maybe looking for a new job, maybe finding something new, and just taking a step in there. Don't take my advice and quit your job right now and try and look for a new job. No, that's just dumb. Okay. No, remember, take steps, baby steps, Maybe if you're unhappy with your job or your career right now, maybe try something like podcasting or YouTube or social media or whatever it is that you are interested in. Just try it. Throw a little bit of money at it. Don't throw your whole life savings, and see if something sticks. See if you're good at it. See if you like it. Even if you don't like it, like how I'm extremely uncomfortable right now doing a solo podcast, which I was actually talking to my sister and I was hoping that this episode fails so I don't have to do another one. So please don't like this video, and please don't share it or anything or leave a comment or none of that stuff. This I want as like one of our lowest rated episodes so I don't have to do another one. But yeah, I mean, yeah, you got to get out of that feeling, So, but I mean, that's also my anxiety too, right? Right there, feeling that way, hoping that this doesn't succeed so I don't have to do more because I'm so uncomfortable. But I mean, I'm sure if it does succeed, if it does happen, that I could get used to doing solo stuff and doing it more often, even though I love my wife, Jessica, and my co-host, Melissa, and I don't want to do it just because I like our dynamic that we have and all that kind of stuff. So it's not something I really want to change. I only am doing this because it's like very last minute, right? But yeah, I don't know. I'm just saying, a lot of times we are unhappy or we complain about things and we don't understand why when we created the things we're unhappy about, and then we look at other people and you compare and you're like, man, how are they doing it? Why am I not able to do that? Or all that kind of stuff, right? So, think about your own comfort zone. Think about what makes you comfortable, why you're in that situation, Why are you still doing something that makes you unhappy? Why are you still doing something that, yeah, and I get it. And I get the excuse about how it pays your bills and all that kind of stuff. And like I said before, I'm not telling you to quit your job right now and go do something you love. I'm saying be responsible. But, a big part of something I've learned through learning about finance and all that kind of stuff is never have all your eggs in one basket, right? You gotta spread it out. You gotta have multiple sources of income. Why is your paycheck your only source of income? Why are you not investing in the stock market? Why are you not having some money in your savings account or whatever, even though that's horrible? Or why are you not buying a home and renting it out and maybe having it paid for free? Like all these kind of things. Multiple sources of income is you not having your eggs in the same basket, right? Just in case something happens, but more so just so you have options. I feel like feeling stuck is one of those things that is a horrible feeling to kind of feel. Nobody wants to be stuck. But again, like I said, if you're stuck but comfortable, that comfort is a trap. That comfort is what's keeping you where you are. That comfort is maybe making you unhappy. And like I said, stepping out of that comfort zone is the best way to grow as just a person, learning about yourself and all that kind of stuff. I don't know what more I want to say. This is usually the point of the episode where we tell stories or where Jessica comes up with facts or any of that kind of stuff. It's a lot harder doing a podcast by herself and just talking. So this will probably be a little bit of a shorter episode than normal just because I'm only one person. But I hope you enjoyed, and definitely follow us on all our socials. I told myself that I was gonna write it down somewhere so that I could just say it, but I have not done that yet, and I will do that next time, I promise. Okay, so we're on Facebook at the Awks podcast, right? Okay, let me pause here. Cut. Yeah, so we're actually getting our website up soon. We're just waiting for a few things, and our website should be up hopefully by the end of the week, maybe next week. But if not, follow us on our socials. We're pretty active on all of it, I think. We read everything, so we're definitely interacting with people. But yeah, follow us if you're not following. If you're new, welcome. And follow us on the Awks Talk podcast on Facebook. It's a Facebook page, or on Instagram at the Awks Talk, and our YouTube channel, which the video, if you're listening, the video version of this will be on YouTube, and it's just the Awks Talk again. And we just made a Twitter, so if you want to follow us on Twitter, I don't think we really post much on Twitter. Twitter is just I saw this video once of some girl posting her Twitter feed on to her Instagram, and I thought that was really cool. So I made a Twitter just so I can post on Twitter and take my tweets and post it on Instagram. I know it's funny, it's really weird. So, I mean, if you want to get content faster through Instagram to Twitter, you can, but I'm pretty sure I'm only really using it right now for those purposes. But yeah, you can follow us on Twitter at the Awks Talk. Most of our things are at the Awks Talk. It's only Facebook that's at the Awks Talk podcast, which I might change to the Awks Talk. Oh no, we are at the Awks Talk. Okay, so it's at the Awks Talk on all sources. Listen to us on any platform. We're on Google Podcast or Anchor. Instagram's probably the best way to message us. We're the most active on Instagram. Watch our YouTube. Like and subscribe. And yeah, see you next time. Bye. You're listening to the Awks Talk
Awks Talk
Awks Talk
podcast.